the intro music. Yeah! Woo!
The Borg Cube, is it worth doing that? Like, has it gotten any updates? It's something we talk about a lot, and you see a lot in the comments section about players asking about specialty ships, specialty buildings, etc. I wanted to do a little bit of a redo, I guess, on the Borg Cube, because a couple things have happened that have changed how exactly it operates. Number one being what you see on my screen right here with loot crews. But we want to talk about just how you can use your cutting beam effectively, when it's effective, when it's useful, etc., and try to go through all those different things. Now, how I operate mine really hasn't changed in a while because I haven't been tiering it up due to the tier up cost. And honestly, that's a different discussion for a different day. I still believe that the tier up cost of the cube are ridiculous. I still think that the cube as a whole is pretty much, I would say, quote unquote, worthless until you get it to, high 50s as a player or low 60s. Now, you can find niche uses for it, including PvP, but overall, it can feel like it's a slog getting anything done. Now, they did make some recent changes that make that a little less so, to where you can maybe do this quicker than you were before, and I think that these changes are good changes. I want to talk about what those are. The main thing that has changed is how the cutting beam itself works, with several researches, an officer now with flocks below decks, and even changes to how the mechanics of the game works, allowing you to actually go out there and say, if you're in this system, which I'm technically in the wrong system, I can beam this and I can get more technological distinctness thanks to loot crews now working, which is 5 of 11, EMH below decks, as you saw me using the Enterprise EPA card with Synergy Crew. No matter what it is that you prefer to run with more of the loot bonus, those now take effect into your Borg cutting beam. So as we go into this, I'm actually going to move back to the 50 system because I one-shot 49s. I don't even know why I went to the 51. But let's talk about what the cutting beam does per level. Now remember, because I have a lot of people still ask me this, the cutting beam is set by the level of your cube, not the tier. So for those of you who have tiered up and go, hey, how come it didn't get stronger? That is why. So my tier 8 cube, which means level 40 is my maximum level, 5.1 million is my base damage. So if I click the manage button on my cube and take this off the screen, you click on phase discriminating amplifier, you'll see the amount that you should be dealing based on your level. Now that actually works for every ship ability. If you're curious, just click on that helpful little button and it'll tell you. Now, if I was to take it to tier 9 at my level, I would then jump up pretty hefty in terms of the cutting beam overall damage. Do remember that there is a difference in PvP damage and in PvE damage, and also you can't forget there's a tax for punching up. We'll cover that here in just a second. So these are the varying amounts, and I'll move out the way so you can see it if you're like a level 35 player right behind me. You're doing 5.1 starting at 36, but again, tier based and level based. So to get to that level, you need a tier, but as you will get stronger based on the level of the cube. So off the screen, cutting beam, get out of here. So let's talk about the cube itself. So I've got my beam charged to 100%. Now, if you purchased the skin for this cube, you could actually have 2 charges saved up. I have not made purchases. Again, I acknowledge my kind of bias. I don't know what other way to word it, but I do kind of have a bias against the cube. I don't really like the cube. I like the cube that it's a Borg Cube. Does that make any sense? Like, I like that it's a Borg Cube, but in terms of usability, it has some decent researches, but it's still a little bit of a slog. I do like some of these recent changes that have changed that. So if you see, I am sitting on 1188 technological distinctness, and I'm going to go around and hit more of these. But we have, as you would probably expect by now, kind of a theme. We have got a handy dandy chart I want y'all to take a look at on how to calculate what you can hit, where you can hit, etc. Now this has been redone with all the different things that have been added to the game, which you can see right here in the gray area. The prime cutting beam damage boost, which now exists in the X-Borg tree. We got the Chronoton sample, which is one of the new temporal artifacts that just came out here recently in terms of when this video was put out, pretty recently for when that got released. Charge optimization, which we've had in the X-Borg tree for a while. I've currently got mine at level 4. You can't go to level 5 until I believe tier 9 on your cube. And then Phlox's below deck ability if you're using Phlox. So if I was to do that, I would say I have a tier 1 Phlox, and that would give me another 20% bonus for my cube's buff. But I'm just going to knock it back down 0. If you come down a little bit, you can see PvE damage and targeting, where I would get the technological distinctness based on the hostile that I am hitting and how much those payouts would actually be. And again, it's going to vary based on what you're hitting and what you're aiming for. And please remember, gosh, and I hate to say it bugs me so much because it does bug me so much, but it does really bug me how much this thing it needs more oomph. Like things like the tax are so silly to me, but reminder of your technological distinctiveness payouts is based on the level of the hostile. I'll actually make this a little bit bigger so it's easier for y'all to see. Level 49, you can see normal TD drop is going to be 540. And then whatever bonuses that you have applied with, say, a loot bonus are going to increase that. So as you saw with my first run, even though I should only be getting 490 with my cube, I got significantly more. Why is this nice? Because of the loot crew, I'm actually able to get my daily done in 3 beam hits. So it's not 3 total hits because I still need to hit level 50 hostiles, charge up my beam, which is based on the charge up, if you're curious, is based on how the whole health is of the hostile you're hitting. So you get that to 100%, and then I will simply beam it. And because I am punching at my level, there is no tax. I do really want to point out that I still hate the punch up tax. Sadly, that has not been something that they have removed. Even though feedback was provided, they didn't remove it yet. But if you come down here at your PvP damage and targeting, if I was trying to hit like a level 53 player with a Corvus, I would do 1.8 million. And that's nothing. I mean, it wouldn't really do anything. So this is kind of my limit. If I was to punch up to a 51, I would do 4.6. I'm just going to go ahead and knock that down to a 49. You can see it shows that I do my normal amount of damage. And depending on the loot bonus that I'm running, I should be getting around 1600 technological distinctness, but that will vary based on the amount of loot that you choose to, bring out there. So I don't have EMH on this one, for example, but I do really like that they made that adjustment so that if you have acquired, say, Captain's Prerogative here, with Enterprise EPA card, you can get a better bonus. So, sorry, and off the screen, but if I change this, so it starts at 0, let's just say we've got 120 right there. You're going to see it comes back down to exactly where it should be at 1188. And if we jump back into the game, we'll see that is exactly what I managed to pull, except I've done it twice now. So multiply that by 2, and there you go. Now, again, there are a lot of cool things you can do with the cube, and there still are a couple things that I think need to be adjusted, like for example the graphic error where you'll see as this battle ends it's probably going to show that I've got little whole health damage, but if we go into the battle log itself, you're not going to see much whole health damage because there is a problem with the display of the whole health of this bird. They have made some improvements to where that displays better now, which thank you Scopely for addressing some of those concerns. But the cube as a whole is still mostly doing the technological distinctiveness so that you can get the research. And there are truthfully some good researches in there for the free-to-play player. So if you did manage to get the Borg as a free-to-play, because it is really tough to do that, there are some decent researches in here. Specifically, the officer stat boost I personally feel like is very valuable as new players leveling up in the game. Getting officer stats is big because the higher up you go, for example, 4-star, 5-star, 6-star ships require more officer stats to be able to get to what you need for a good bonus. So having that plus the hull booster, all that adds up in the long run. So it's nice to have. And you see the mitigation stat boost as well. Officer stat, which I'm currently researching. These provide a handy little bonus. Now, for those curious and you want to get a hold of these charts, all you need to do is head over to my Discord. It is in the Volunteer Charts channel. If you need any help finding this, then simply ask myself or one of our moderators on the Discord. They have blue names. They're very helpful. And actually, the orange volunteers could actually help as well. So join the Discord. Link is in the description below. It's discord.gg/RevDeuce. Or you can even reach out to me on our Facebook page, facebook.com/RDPirateGaming. More than happy to help y'all get some of these neat tools that allow you to see where you're at and where you need to go. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Borg Cube as a usable ship, and there will be some people in the comments who disagree. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. I know they're going to be in the comments talking about how good their cube is, and that's completely fine. Whatever you feel on the cube, it is still part of the game. And now that we have had improvements made to the cube where you can actually do the cutting beam faster thanks to loot crews, I do feel like that's worth acknowledging, and I do think that is worth giving a big thumbs up to. So if you're out there, here's how you can be more effective. Your cube should be able to grind these hostiles by itself. Probably doesn't need much help. So now you can be faster with your acquisition of your technological distinctness. And I have now officially gotten a whole pull's worth, and I'm just making a video. Hopefully this helps you out. If it did, let me know in the comment section down below. Live long and plunder. Stay safe out there, Space Cowboys. Deuce is that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek Fleet Command video, which is every day, because we love this game. I just do, and I love the community.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.